beast! Ah!
Welcome back to another episode of Not the Bees, the Nicolas Cage filmography podcast. I'm Megs.
I'm Elizabeth.
And today we are talking about 2001's Captain Corelli's Mandolin, starring Nicolas Cage, obviously, John Hurt, also with Penelope Cruz and Christian Bale. It's only got a 28% on the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes, but the audience score is actually 50%. And it's basically just a World War II movie about the occupation of a small Greek island off the coast of Greece called Kefalonia. And John Hurt plays the island's doctor. Giannis, his daughter, is played by Penelope Cruz. Her name is Pelagia. And her love interest is played by Christian Bale, a man named Mandras. And then Nicolas Cage is a captain in the Italian army named Antonio Corelli. And he carries a mandolin with him. And I was prepared to hate this movie going into it, because we've seen Wind Talkers first, even though it came out a year after this movie. And I was expecting it to be bad, but I actually really enjoyed it. And we open up on the island. Dr. Giannis is treating one of the island's residents. He's pulling a pea out of his ear, which is like a big ball of like wax or something. And you get to see this cute little exchange between the man and his wife. Like, she nags him a lot because he can't hear, and now he can hear. And his daughter's with him, and she's trying to learn how to be a doctor as well. And it's you see this life there on Kefalonia that seems, for the most part, pretty carefree. Everyone's got their troubles, just like like you do. But for the most part, it's a very close community. Everybody knows everybody. We meet Christian Bale's character at the beginning during a festival or a celebration where they're setting off, I think, like bottle rockets or some kind of very small controlled explosion, and it hits him in the butt. And that's where we first really meet him, is on the doctor's table. Directly after that, we get to see his bum. But that's where we learn that Pelagia and he are supposedly in love. And then after that, we get the worst news, where it looks like the armies are starting to move into, Greece. They're starting to push in. And Mandras wants to be a rebel. He wants to go and join the rebel army and push them back through Albania. And they have this cute, little love story that they have. And she's like, write me every day. I'll write to you. And he says yes. And then he goes, and she's writing every day. And he's not sending any response. And she's not sure what's happening. Pelagia is overwhelmed with this feeling of grief for some period of time. She's written him 100 letters and no response. And then we find out that they pushed the Italians back in Albania, and then the Nazis send the Italians to Greece. And that's where Captain Corelli and his unit come in. And Kefalonian mayor doesn't want to surrender to the Italians. He refuses.
I love this scene.
It's love this scene.
The mayor comes out with a note. It's written in Greek, which apparently Captain Corelli can read. And he came up and he takes the note and he turns to the collected masses and says, "Fuck off." And the mayor is like, "We are not going to surrender to the Italians. You bring us a German. We will surrender to a German.
We will surrender to the highest ranking
German on the island."
Yeah.
And that brings forth a German officer whose first name is Gunther, and he's a captain. And they're like, "Well, captain isn't it's not a very high rank." And they're like, "It's the highest ranking guy on the island." And he says, "We have determined that it would be better for us to surrender to a German officer's dog than to an Italian."
Yeah, such a good line.
So good.
So good. So then after that, obviously, the Italian unit that's on Kefalonia, they're being quartered with the residents of the island who are, for the most part, they're mostly farmers. They don't really have a lot. It's the middle of the 1940s. And so the quartermaster for the unit actually is the one that goes to Dr. Giannis, and he's telling him about, we need to put somebody with you. And he makes a deal. Dr. Giannis makes a deal with the quartermaster and says, listen, I will quarter one of your soldiers if you give me medical supplies. I need, X, Y, Z. And, oh, by the way, we can just say that this is because I'm treating your feet because you've got like boot feet or whatever it was. And the person that comes is Captain Corelli. And from there, for the most part, we're seeing just interactions between Captain Corelli and Giannis and his daughter Pelagia, and their interactions where they're, having dinner. Nicolas Cage is being, kind of an asshole soldier, but I mean, you are a soldier. But there's also a lot of like beauty in it where it's very human. Like he's very into music. Captain Corelli is a musician. He plays the mandolin, and his unit is full of soldiers that are a lot really carefree, and they like to sing in groups. Everybody has their own part. There's this really great scene where we get a new soldier to the unit, and Captain Corelli's asking him, where did you come from? And he goes, well, I did this, this, and this. He goes, oh, well, you fought enough for all of us. And just welcomes him into the unit with open arms, with absolutely no conditions, except that we will find something musical for you to do. And you start to see this really great sort of camaraderie happen between Pelagia and Captain Corelli. So yeah, we start to see Pelagia start to soften towards Captain Corelli, even though she's very against him being there at all, really. But he seems to enjoy the children. For the most part, his unit is really just like acting like they're on vacation. And then Mandras comes back. And we find that he is alive. He's not dead like she thought he was. He has all of her letters. And the reason that he didn't write to her is because he never learned how to read or to write. And so he has her read all of the letters out loud to him. And she's written to him about, they're engaged to be engaged when he supposedly returns. So she's sewing a jacket for him with embroidery on it for, like, I guess his wedding suit is what I'm assuming. And she tells him about that. She tells him about the occupation that's happening. And I'm just gonna, like, at this point, it's about midway through the film, and I don't like Christian Bale in this movie. I don't think. I don't like his character. I don't like the way it was played. But like, this is the point in the movie where you kind of figure out that like their relationship is just not going to continue. And then he leaves again. He's like, I can't be here. It's too dangerous. And he leaves again and goes across over to the mainland, I think, to hide out for some amount of time. And
no, he's going to rejoin the fight.
That's right. But it's on a different front.
Yeah.
And so while he's gone, Pelagia and Captain Corelli just continue to get closer and closer and closer. And he has a lot of blunders, and she's very fiery and adamant and doesn't want to have anything to do with him at the beginning. And they just, I don't know, it's so good. And they just end up falling into this very sort of like organic but very innocent kind of love that they don't want to be around each other. They don't want to be where they are. Like, Captain Corelli and his unit want nothing more than to go home. And it's very clear that they don't even really want to be fighting this war, and they don't want to be allied with Germany any longer. And I mean, you feel really bad for them. You really do. And then,
well, at this point, Pelagia and Captain Corelli have fallen in love.
Yeah.
When Mandras comes back, he wants to speak with Captain Corelli, and she's afraid that it's because of her, and really all he wants is weapons.
Right. Like, let's work together. Give us some of your weapons. Help us fight the Germans.
Because at this point, Mussolini has surrendered.
Right.
And the Italians think that they're going to go home, but the Germans come in, disarm them, and they make it very clear that they have no intention of stopping this war.
Yeah, and while they're meeting, Mandras ends up telling Captain Corelli, you're not going home. They will take you and put you in labor camps.
Yeah.
This regiment was sent here, and this regiment was sent here, and this one was sent here. And even though you can tell that it's not something that he wants to do, he still goes along with when Gunter comes to him and says, you guys need to surrender. And they get to that checkpoint and they're wanting all the Italian soldiers to lay down their weapons. Like, you can tell that they know something is wrong. And they shouldn't have gone there to begin with. They shouldn't have been there. And the whole massacre even started on an accident. There wasn't, intended shooting, or at least that's the story, and what we see in the film. But it ended up being, unintentional, but ended up causing the deaths of like over 1,500 men because of this. And that whole scene is so hard to watch because it's not just that's happening, because the rebels are also trying to help them. And we see that some parts of the unit have, tried to hide, and they have guns to try to shoot the German ships that are coming into the ports. And that's just not working at all. And yeah, so everybody that's Italian, once the Germans land, all the Italians from that unit get gathered up, and a lot of them get just taken out and shot, which again, also very difficult to watch. And then we see Gunter, who, by the way, is played by David Morrissey, and such a good role for him. And he's so conflicted because these Italians are his friends, and they've been his friends while he's been here, and he hates that he has to do this. And when Nicolas Cage, when Captain Corelli and his unit, when the group that he was with got rounded up and taken out to get shot, the German or the Italian soldier that entered, the new one that entered, that didn't have like any musical ability or whatever, he has just become throughout this movie like the de facto bodyguard of Captain Corelli. Carlo, yeah, that's his name. Thank you. And when the shooting starts, he just launches himself in front of Captain Corelli and just grabs him in a bear hug and takes all of the bullets that are meant for him into his back. And then they fall together. And then Gunter comes up and he's inspecting all of the bodies, and he sees Corelli laying there, and he goes to shoot him. And Corelli tells him, shoot me. And he can't bring himself to do it. And so here comes Mandras and his group of rebels to check on the fallen soldiers of the Italian unit. And they're checking everyone's pulse. And we don't know why, but he's looking for, it seems at least like he's looking for Captain Corelli. And he sees him and then goes to check his pulse, and oh my God, he's alive. So they rush him to Dr. Giannis. And Giannis is not a surgeon, not really. He regular maladies. He's like a general practitioner. Like, he's not setting bones or slicing people open to like give them major surgery. He's not prepared or equipped to handle the gunshots that went through Carlo into Corelli. But his daughter, Pelagia, she's like, I don't care. You have to do this. You have to at least try. And like, he's telling them like there's chips of bone embedded in his bones. There's bullet fragments. But the surgery was a success, and they're able to bring him back so he's effectively, okay. And then they sneak him out. They smuggle him.
They literally use the strings of his mandolin.
Yeah.
To set the bones and to help suture his wounds.
Yeah, because they didn't have any steel. And that's the only thing that they could use. And they smuggle him back home. And literally the very next thing that happens, once the Germans leave with the rest of the Italian soldiers that they've taken prisoner, and Corelli leaves and gets smuggled out, and they're just left to their own devices, Kefalonia is finally, Italian free. And then one of the worst earthquakes that the island's ever seen happens. And almost all of the structures on it are destroyed. It's just like blow after blow after blow. This tiny little island population keeps getting the absolute shit beat out of them in ways that are completely unavoidable to them, that have nothing to do with them. And then we see 5 years later, luckily our protagonists, all of them have lived, right? Mandras has lived, Giannis lived, Pelagia lived through that. And 5 years later, we see that she gets something in the mail and it's a record. And there's no return address, but she knows who it is because it's a mandolin being played. Well, it sounds like a mandolin, but it's actually, he says it's a guitar later, but it's the song that he wrote for her when they were hanging out in Kefalonia, just being carefree young people that really didn't, want to know each other. Well, at least she did not want to know him, and she's like, I don't want this music. Turn it off. We're done with him. And then he just comes back.
He says, I have tried to live without you.
Yeah, and he can't. And it's so beautiful. And they have this really great embrace, and it ends on a really nice note. I actually really love the ending because it's another one of their, I think it's a High Holy Day or something that they're doing, where they're walking through the village of the island with the same islander that he helped pull the stone out of his ear at the beginning of the film. And he's talking about how, put the pea back in my ear. My wife, she's constantly nagging me now. And they're just taking this stroll, and Dr. Giannis is explaining, like, maybe be nice to your wife.
Yeah.
Maybe bring her flowers from the field every day. Do something before she tells you to do it. Do the thing when she tells you to do it. And I also really love that the film was dedicated to the Italian soldiers and all of the Kefalonians that died because of the occupation and the extraction of the troops, and also dedicated to the survivors of the earthquake that happened afterwards. So that's basically the movie. Again, like I said, I was prepared to hate this movie, but I got really sucked into it really quickly, despite all of the issues with it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought I was going to hate this movie, and I put off watching it as long as I possibly could. And I was so enchanted by it. It's so good, and it's so kind of innocent in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Their love story is really, really beautiful. I loved everything about it. I thought the acting was great. John Hurt is amazing.
John Hurt is amazing. Amazing.
I thought the acting was really, really good. I thought the cinematography was gorgeous.
It was. The only thing that the only thing that bothered me, that really like consistently bothered me, was the obvious thing, and it's his accent. Because it's not great, and it seems very...
Oh, I thought his accent was good.
No, it's not good. It's really not good.
It didn't bother me. It really didn't bother me.
That was the only thing that really bothered me consistently. But Christian Bale just seems like such an interesting casting choice for this movie. He just, for some reason, doesn't feel like he fits at all. And, I mean, honestly, maybe his character doesn't fit. Maybe it's just the way that Mandras was written. But I don't really feel like he fit very well into the puzzle that is this movie. Like, his piece is just not exactly, I don't know. I know you love Christian Bale, and, like, that's fine.
I do.
That's totally fine. You can definitely love him. I don't like him in this movie. I did not like him in this movie. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed Penelope Cruz in this movie. Not that she's not a treat, because she is absolutely a treat. But I was not expecting to like her in this. And I did. Like, this movie is actually pretty good. It sneaks up on you. It's very underrated, I think.
It is. Pedro Pascal said that last week.
Yes. He's quite right.
He's quite right. This is an underrated movie. It's a lot better than the 28% that it has on Rotten Tomatoes.
I agree. And, like, I did look into some stuff about, I read a good amount of reviews, and, like, the general consensus that I have of why people don't like this movie, or at least people that, like, professionally review them, is because of the accent work, and that it fell so short of the novel that it's based on. And, like, I can understand that, but here's the thing about adaptation. Like, it's really difficult to adapt nuance into, like live action sometimes, depending on what it is. Like, we also have time constraints. Because let's also remember, this is 2001. This movie is over 2 hours long. And at the time, really the only kind of acceptable movies to be that long were war movies. Like, people weren't paying money to go and sit for over 2 hours most of the time to watch films. And yeah, like, stuff gets taken out of adapted material all the time because it just doesn't fit with the time frame that they're given, or it's not something that we can, or that the team can make like streamlined into the plot when they're trying to visualize it. And I don't know, are there ways to adapt things where they're well done? Absolutely. And do sometimes things get adapted and they're absolutely fucking terrible? Yes, that does happen. But I don't think that this, like, I read the Wikipedia like Cliff's Notes or whatever of the book that it's based on, and for the most part it's pretty similar. Like, they got the chunk of everything. Like, there are little nuanced things that are missing from the movie. I didn't read the book, so I don't know what they are, but like, from what I understand from everything that I've looked at, for the most part they adapted it pretty well. So like, I don't understand why people get so upset when something is like, no one's happy sometimes. Sometimes they're just never happy with adaptations.
Right.
Although, now that I'm thinking about that word, I can't wait until we get to adaptation, because that movie is
saying,
so
like,
good.
That movie, yeah, adaptation is a really great film.
Yeah.
David Morrissey as Gunter was fantastic.
I love David Morrissey. I'm always surprised when he shows up, and always pleasantly surprised. It's always a good experience.
Yeah.
What would you grade the movie? What letter grade would you give it?
I would give it a solid B.
I agree. I think that I would also give the Nick Caginess of it a solid B.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything that was like over the top about it that you know, typically associate with, you know, Nicolas Cage and being out there. It was a little goofy because of the music aspect of it, which was,
I thought
really
cute. His singing was fantastic.
His singing was so good. So good. Also, I guess I didn't realize that he could play a mandolin.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was really playing the mandolin or not.
I mean, it looked like it. There was that shot where it's just him sitting there playing. I imagine he probably plays several instruments. I think that this movie is definitely worth watching. It's definitely, you don't see like World War II romantic dramas. The only one that I can think of is The Reader with Kate Winslet and Ralph Fiennes, and that one is actually kind of very disturbing because it's pedophilic in a couple of different ways. But like,
what about The English Patient?
Oh, The English Patient is good.
The English Patient is fantastic.
The English Patient is a fantastic film. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't see a whole lot of like romantic dramas about war, which, I mean, to be fair, war is not the backdrop for romantic drama, but it is nice to see something like that because there's a very human aspect to romantic drama. Also, I really enjoy, I mean, I think that everybody is kind of, you know, inundated with World War II stuff, but it's always like US and England and Germany, and like, that's it. Like, we don't really talk about Japan. We don't really talk about the other nations in Europe. Like, it's
it was a nice departure to have an Italian, Greek-centered film about World War II instead of it being about the Nazis and America.
Right. That was probably the best part about it, was that it had nothing to do with any of that. It was just, this is what happened like in other parts of World War II that had nothing to do with, you know, the three biggest people that were in it. I mean, Japan was also a huge part of World War II. And I feel like the most popularized thing, at least I've seen in American culture, about that is something that's completely fictitious, and it's The Man in the High Castle.
Yeah.
That What If. But like, I mean, I'd love to see more of that. And I mean, Wind Talkers, they tried to do that, but it missed the mark at every turn. This one wasn't great, but it didn't miss all of the marks. It definitely hit some of them well. And yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. All right, so that's it for this week. I'm done talking about Captain Corelli. It's definitely a movie I might see again in the future, but we're done with that now. Listener, if you're out there and you're enjoying what we're doing, if you want to support us, you can reach us at patreon.com/notthebees. You can also follow along with us on Instagram at notthebeespod, where we do post slides from the films that we watch each week. So please feel free to follow along. And yeah, until next time.
Until next time.